You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible.
So the movie The Matrix, we all know that it's a movie, but a lot of people really believe that it was like a documentary, you feel me? The movie The Matrix to me was like a mirror to our reality, and yeah, I'm gonna like save the good stuff later, but I just want to say that this movie was never just about killing robots and, you know, Neo learning how to do kung fu or how to stop bullets in the air and shit. It really was a interesting story about how we are the prisoners in our own mind.
The most notorious prison of all, the prison of mind.
And how most people would rather stay locked inside their mind, you know, living in this false reality than facing the painful truth.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
What the fuck?
So I just want to give a shout out to my boy Kali, because me and him were actually talking about, you know, society and everything that's going on in the world today.
One thing I'm learning the older I get, the more I pick up on it, is the blessing doesn't come from the lack of stressing or the less stress that's applied into your life. The blessing doesn't come from stressing. It comes from the lessons that you pull from the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's the real blessing.
And he brought up this movie, you know, The Matrix, the last Matrix that was made, I think it was called The Resurrections. And I was telling him how that movie was hella whack and, you know, it fell off and shit. But he highlighted something very important. He said that this movie was like, the important part of the whole movie was that it was trying to let people know that we are the ones that are keeping ourselves locked within this matrix, and we don't want to like get out of it because, you know, we're too comfortable and shit. So Kali, if you're watching, shout out to you, my boy. Thank you so much for, you know, pretty much inspiring me to this podcast. So hopefully, you know, this is a good video. So let's get into it.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
In the original Matrix, the movie that we all fell in love with, the first one, that was like crazy, you feel me? Neo wakes up and sees the real world, a barren, destroyed wasteland.
Welcome to the real world.
He realizes that life he thought was real, his job, his apartment, his routines, was just a stimulation like pretty much built to keep him asleep. Plugged into a system that feeds off his energy while keeping his mind distracted with false pleasures.
You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again.
Now fast forward to The Matrix Resurrections, the latest movie. Neo is back inside the system, but this time he chose it. Not because he loves the Matrix, but because the truth hurt too much, like too much.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony. The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown. For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes. Watched them liquefy the dead so they could be fed intravenously to the living. And standing there, facing the pure, horrifying precision.
It's easier to stay plugged in, numbed out, entertained, than to face the cold reality. And just to put in my little experience in here, like when I went through my little awakening, it took me to come to the understanding that life isn't what I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I can go so deep into it, but just to sum it all up, it took me to realize that this world is going against me. Not, you know, the universe, but the world, society, the matrix. I just feel like I had to come to the realization that the matrix was in my mind, and I was always looking externally for an escape, but I had to look inside for the keys to unlock myself from my own prison. Pretty much this is a real life reflection of what's happening today. Most people don't want to leave that matrix, you know, that matrix in their mind because it's uncomfortable. It's really scary to wake up and realize you've been lied to, that your job, your status, your whole identity might just be a program designed to control you, you know? Because I feel like leaving the matrix is so hard because it really takes sacrifice. It takes hella loneliness, like for real, a lot of loneliness. That's why I feel like a lot of people like find it so significant to have friends, to have a circle, to have a clique, to have people you can like escape the world with. But like, I feel like all this escaping doesn't really help, you know, like seeking pleasure in the external world doesn't really suppress the loneliness that you have within yourself. So I feel like that's why a lot of monks, a lot of philosophers, a lot of religious people, they isolate themselves because they realize that dopamine is not going to be the answer to all their problems. You really have to get inside your mind and really start unwiring things that are not meant to be wired, because we are being used as batteries, you know, like our energy is their most important currency.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible.